Welcome back to another wiki tutorial. This time I'm going to go over how to prepare a page for translation. This is different from the translation tutorial that's coming up next. This is for primarily English users to prepare a page for translation. So I have a page here, test translate, that has not got any translation capabilities, and we're going to go ahead and enable it. First thing that you always must do right at the top of the page is go ahead and enter the languages tag. Let me see if I can just make things bigger here. There we go. Should look like exactly like this. It's a self-closing tag if you're familiar with HTML. Now, historically, what we would have then done on the wiki is wrap the entire page in translate tags. Don't do this anymore. This is bad. We should not be doing this. Instead, what you should do is wrap individual parts of words as translatable. A perfect example here is tables. Let's actually add a heading here, tables. For example, item, quantity, price, bread, butter, etc. These are translatable words, but the translation team, as in other language speakers, don't need to translate this bit or even this bit, and they shouldn't have to see it or deal with it. It makes it more complicated when dealing with translation. So what you can do here is just, if you type translate and translate like this, this will mean that for this page, when you mark it for translation, this word here, item, becomes its own word to be translated. So this is how you handle tables. Now, this is slightly annoying to do. I'm sure some of you probably have like macros on your keyboard to do it. I'm just copying and pasting the translate tag and then adding the closing tag here. I'm also looking into some enhancements to our editor, and there might be a button to do it. You'll be able to like highlight text and then hit a button and it will put the translate tags around it, because that'll be better. But we can just go through the table like this and hit translate on it. Now, if items are numbers, they usually don't need translating. For example, 0.3 kilograms, that is not translatable. Right? You could argue that in certain locales, kilograms might be represented differently or spelled differently, but for now, let's not worry about it. We can always add that later. But bread certainly does need translating. Same here with butter. So let's do butter. And also total. Moving on to images. So for images, again, don't surround the whole thing in translate tags like this. Instead, surround only the bit that is required to be edited. For example, here, the alt text. For future reference as well, this will be coming up in an accessibility tutorial. If there is a caption, which is a part of the image syntax, check help images, it will automatically be set to the alt image. So you don't need alt equals usually. We will have to double check that one. But anyway, you should need to wrap the alt text with the translate tags, and that means the alt text will be translatable. Now for lists, again, you could wrap the entire thing in translate, but again, that might be difficult. So I would recommend wrapping just list items themselves in translate. Once again, yes, I know that this is a pain and I won't do the whole list, but I'm working on that editor enhancement where you can just highlight text and then hit a button. Then we come on to regular text, which I've left for last because it's actually easiest. If it's a really big block of text, just go ahead and wrap translate tags around it. You don't really need to worry about that. So that's good for that. If it's a heading and a piece of text, you can also wrap that around as well. Like that. But you might want to split these into two. By the way, if you see these, more on those in a moment. Ignore them for now. They shouldn't be there. I just copied this content from another page that was set up for translation earlier. So this is okay. This is okay, but you might want to split the heading away from the text that's underneath that heading. I'll link in the video description to some examples of the markup that they recommend. For this, the same thing would apply. So I'm gonna stop here because we're good. There are some stuff on links that I need to do, so I'll link that to you as well, because, for example, you need to specify the current language in some of these links sometimes. I will go ahead and link to some resources on that one because I'm not prepared for that one. This is just a rough guide. When I hit Save Changes here, you'll see that we can now zoom out, that this then says Mark Page for Translation. When I mark it for translation, you'll see item, quantity, price, bread, butter exist. And that's good because it means that the translator doesn't need to deal with the other parts of the tables. They don't need to deal with all of the complexity of the table here. If I were to grab this table and I were to instead wrap a translate tag around the whole thing, they would see this like weird table stuff. To do that, actually, I can copy this table, and then I'd have to remove all the translate tags. I'm not going to do that. That's going to take forever. Tell you what I can do. If I go ahead, I can grab another table from another part of the website, and I can paste that in, and that will show you the problem. Except it can't be Resonite team because I set that one up already. I need a table. I think Badges has tables. Yeah, Badges has tables, right? So if I went to here and I stole the Badges table, and I wrapped all of that in a single translate tag rather than each individual row having one, then you'll see the difference when I go ahead and I mark it for translation. This is the translation unit, right? So they have to try and translate the whole table, and it makes it a lot worse. This is a huge problem that we were occurring in the past, and we're fixing that now and not doing that. So do it the first way, not the second way like this. So if we go back and get rid of that, and I'm waffling, I realize, but we're all learning as we go here, so apologies. So there we go. If I get rid of that, I can then mark it from translation, and then hit mark, and then it'll be ready for translating. There you go. That's how to prepare a page for translation. If you have any questions, do let me know, or check out the resources, which will be in the video description, on how to mark up those translate tags a little better and how to deal with those links to various categories, etc. I will get some information, in the video description for those.